DreamHack Melbourne is presented by the TAC and brought to you in part by Intel, Qiddiya, Monster Energy, Kick, and Melbourne, every bit different.
Of sending a message. We are the best team in ANZ. Oos, it's orange.
It's Reset City, baby. Double kill over to Chaz, and that will do it.
GA is the focus right now. It's a massive quickness here from Decoy. Look at try and turn the tide. He's going to fall on down there with the solar flare. He's going to fall on down. Rest in peace. He removed. In they jump. There is the Welling there. There's the axe. Empties the bike. Good is still alive. Not for long. Solid they come to them. Bullet time is corrupted. They're all charmed at him. Come on. Oh, support. Here we go. Oh my God. He steals the barrel. How does he do that? Knocks them all up. Allegor again. They start jumping.
They're all in on the edge.
They really want this. It's do or die.
They're going to get it, but at what cost? They're going to lose two in the process. One on takes one to the grave with him. McKispey in your face. He's shredding you down.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and summoners! We stand at the brink of a historic moment as two Titanic teams make their grand debut on this illustrious stage at DreamHack 2024 in Melbourne's iconic Rod Laver Arena for the LCO Split 1 Grand Finals! Now, let's hand it over to Natty and the ever-beautiful analyst desk to tell us more about this event.
Thank you so much, Pike, our fantastic stage host that you guys will be seeing throughout the night. And welcome. LCO is back on your screens, back in person for everyone joining us here in the Rod Laver Arena. Thank you so much. And most importantly, thank you to my beautiful analysts. It's not the standard that you guys have seen all throughout split number one. We are very blessed with Tally returning. You were there earlier this split. And why not now? Unfortunately, not on that stage, but still on a stage just as good, right?
I'll be on your screens for a little bit longer, and hopefully we'll have a banger series tonight.
We definitely will. I mean, it's grand finals. There's been a little bit of time in between, but either way, I know that the games, the League of Legends action that we're going to be seeing, it will be fantastic. And the atmosphere here in the audience is also just as electric, is the wording I'm going to use. But Tally, it's been a while since I've seen you as well. How's your League of Legends going? You up to date?
We don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
It hasn't been good, but you know, I'm happy to be back, especially in such a massive moment for OS. It's always really nice to be back on stage, be in front of these huge crowds, get to experience the energy.
Yeah, I mean, also our players getting to have some LAN experience as well, and our fans joining us in the audience, getting to watch these players, getting to see it in person, which does bring me to one of the most important points, is I want to know exactly how you guys are watching our LCO Grand Finals tonight. Make sure whether you're in the arena, if you're watching at home, if you're at a different watch party with some friends, take a photo, submit it on social media for us. You can use hashtag LCO, and you too can become a bit of a mainstay on stage there. You might be shown on the broadcast here. So when you get a chance, as many photos as possible on social media is what we would love to see. And we rely on you guys, our fans, quite a lot. In fact, our Split 1 awards were chosen by you guys. The very first award that we want to be giving out to these players is the fan-voted All-Pro Team. They are your 5 favorite players here in OS, in LCO, Bio in the top lane, Shern in jungle, Ryoma in mid, Lemus and Drake, who are apparently the fan favorite bot lane. Why not?
I mean, they're handsome men. What can I say?
You reckon it was more looks than gameplay? Is that what you're trying to allude to?
I mean, they have both, so we don't have to choose one.
We don't have to choose, you get both. But we did also choose, we had our expert chosen all-pro lineup, and we'll see just how much of an overlap there is. The top lane and the support being the two biggest differences, the coach staying the same between Ash and Style. Tally.
Yeah, I mean, you can already see we see 3GZ on the board already. So, I mean, maybe this is going to speak to what we're going to see in the series.
I was wondering that. I'm like, if everyone's kind of leaning toward the Ground Zero being the ones that are voted for in terms of player profile, we'll see exactly how they are going to perform on the stage. We do have 2 more awards, though, 4 in total that we want to hand out. Our most improved, while we might not be seeing them playing on stage, Tomasino and Wudon do deserve a very special shout out for their performance all throughout split number 1. Those regular seasons, the playoffs, how far they did make it. It's a massive one for themselves. And our very last award, one that spans over 2 pages because there are so many to mention, are our MVPs that were given out every single day for our LCO. There's a lot, so bear with me here. But taking out MVP in first place will hopefully come up on our screens very soon. It is going to be Harry. You're just nodding your head. You're not on a long line. You're not surprised at all, are you?
I mean, I played quite a lot of games with him throughout the split, and I'd say he is a bit of a beast in the mid lane. He was always finding solo kills, making sure his impact was felt, and it makes sense. He's a good player.
Yeah, and then tied in second is the Ground Zero player, Lemus and Ryoma as well. And third, there's a lot. You got Katsura, you got Shernfire. We're going to flip over our page and keep going. For tied third, 2 MVPs each, is Doraemon, Zoranus, King, Biopanther, Violet. Does this lean into any aspect of what we could be seeing tonight, Tally?
Yeah, definitely. Like, we've seen on the board that a lot of the people who are showing up are the consistent performers on their team, and I think that's what really like makes an MVP candidate is someone you always rely on. They can always play like whatever champ they're put in the position in the draft, and perform and like elevate their team to a level that like lets them succeed.
It's not always the flashy plays. That's what we tried to award MVPs on, not always just the flashy plays. But it's been a very long road for these 2 teams to make it to the grand final, to make it here into our LCO arena at Rod Laver, and this is exactly how it took place for them. Both of them starting up in the playoffs upper bracket. Antic and Ground Zero in a best of 3. They went all the way to game number 3, but we then saw Ground Zero taking down Bliss. A bit of a rough one, and I would say an upset as well. Why not?
Yeah, definitely. I think coming into the season, the very start, it looked like a bit of a 3-team league. There were 3 pretty stacked rosters. Team Bliss generally was favored on top, but throughout the season, I say all the teams developed quite a bit. And yeah, when it came down to it, I think GZ had really strong preparation. They showed that. And I guess we'll see more tonight as well.
Yeah, they hit their stride in that playoff, so we'll see if they're able to continue it here tonight. But Antic, they just dominated the lower bracket. They made that run. They were able to qualify along with Ground Zero to PCS through that lower bracket there. And again, 5 games in a best of 5 tally to take that spot from Bliss.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch on Wino's point of having the 3-team league, because I think that's a really big point. I think that you got to give credit to the coaching staff. I think that they would have done a good job melding what they had, because a lot of these teams have star players, and it's all about working in those players with the environment they have and being able to make sure they can work with their teammates. Just have a good roster all around.
What we are seeing on our screens as well is highlight reels from the last time that they faced up there. It is Antic up against Ground Zero when we saw that round 1 in the upper bracket. It went all 3 games, and not only was the series close, each game felt very close in what they were going to trade for each other, what champions exactly were going to be picked up for themselves. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. I think best of series are all about filling out your opponent. Filling out if your preparation was right. That game 1, I think, is very pivotal. Seeing what works, what doesn't, and what you can look to do game 3 and 2, 3, 4, 5, and it really can go the distance. And series evolve, and that's what makes them so fun to watch live.
Preparation is a big thing. It's key, and these 2 teams, they had time to prepare. They went over to PCS. We're going to have a look at their results there, because sometimes we can play it down of maybe Oz isn't going to have the most astronomical play at PCS. Maybe the run might fall a little bit short, but we actually had what I'm going to say is our best run so far at PCS, Tally.
Yeah, as funny as it is, as mediocre as we did, that was still our best run. It's just really hard to catch up to the gap that we were presented with in such a short time. I think there's still you got to give yourself a pat on the back for what you're able to show at that time. And I think that every year we're having a better showing, and we can cope a little bit and say that we're improving, and I don't know, maybe in a couple of years we'll be winning the whole thing.
hey, you got time, you need to warm up, and these players, they've had plenty of time, not only to rest, relax, and rejuvenate, but also to prepare here on the stage. And I think it's only fair that we give our fans and we give the audience exactly what they want. Our two teams, our grand finalists, to come out onto the stage.
Thank you, Natty and the analyst desk. Ladies and gentlemen, our first team, hailing in from the West. This team has dominated all split long and is hungry to secure their first ever Grand Championship title. Our second team, emerging from the depths of solo queue, with players returning to OS from international waters, this team has arrived. Our grand finalist teams, Ground Zero and Antic Esports! Let the finals begin. Let's go!
I loved that walkout, getting to see the screen lift, our players standing there and now heading back towards their seats. I'm sure they are very eager to jump into this best of 5 in the grand final, decide who really is going to be the top dog and the champion for our LCO split #1. A long time has passed though since we last saw them not only play up against each other, but have their last match in the LCO. It was all the way back on patch 14.3 in which we had our playoffs. They shifted to 14.5 for PCS, and now here we are 2 months later on 14.8, which does raise a lot of questions, why not, on what champions are in the meta, what's been buffed since the last time we saw these teams face off.
Yeah, no, it's a very exciting patch, I'd say. Not just because of the gap between these patches, all these changes, but also because this is some of the first competitive games we're going to get on this patch, which means they haven't had other regions trailblaze for us. It's unknown territory. And as we see on our screens, we have patch notes for buffs. And some notable ones I want to quickly point out. Might not come up today, but Draven, Lemurs, has been playing that champion quite a lot in the past. Could be a pick we see today. Exciting champions like LeBlanc and Akali. So, I'll throw it over to Tally for a little bit more.
Wait, no. What we're still talking about is the nerfed, right? As if it doesn't stick out that Azir got nerfed, guys. Let's be real here. That's the one that's sticking out to me.
I mean, that's very true.
I mean, when I think about the Azir, it's kind of a fake nerf, because a lot of the things.
Oh, really?
A lot of the things that Azir is good at and is bad at, were never his sustain. So he's still going to do the same thing, where he's a really safe early game scaling, gank setup.
It still will mean his punishing matches will be, more punishing. Yeah, I would say. And a thing to point out about Azir actually is on those PCF playoffs patches, Azir was disabled. And Ryoma...
What you're saying is we could have gone further.
We could have gone further. I'm pretty sure we make MSI if Azir was enabled.
I know for a fact we would have, but it unfortunately it didn't happen. It is here with that fake nerf that you are alluding to, and one of the teams that could potentially still want to pick it up for themselves is Antic. Let's have a chat about those 5 players that we're seeing grace the stage right now and have been present for us throughout all of Split 1. Zoranus, Swiper, Ryoma, King, Draku. This roster tally, it's a big one. A lot of old names, old faces for those who are longevity OS fans.
Yeah, when you look at this roster, you just see all the veterancy that they have. I think that it's a really underrated thing to have, especially in a LAN environment. When those nerves kick in at the beginning of the game, you have the ability to remember back the experiences you've been on, that you've played in, and you're able to bring yourself back into the moment and go back into that state where you're comfortable.
His team, he summons the competition, he jumps in, they're turning a
as I was ganked.
Jump scare.
Yeah, the player's going to be prepared for ganks, so do we here as well. But keep going, Tally, as we look at the highlights from the last time that they were playing.
Yeah, so I mean, in these highlights, it's the same story every single time. We see GZ always getting those early game leads, and Antic being able to like close up those leads and be the much stronger team fighting late game comp. I think that leans a lot into that veterancy that they have. I think that on stage games, especially when there's so much at risk, you're going to see a lot of slow games happen, and I think that like those scaling drafts at the beginning are probably going to be more favorable.
I don't know if it's like an advantage or a disadvantage for them, but when I look at them, they've also hit so many different roles outside of just being professional players. They've done the coaching. We've seen a couple of them on the couch with us before as well. Behind the scenes, there's been some roles that they filled too, so maybe that's going to be easy to have that overarching, and why you're okay to have that slower build-up within a game. Why not?
Yeah, I think when you're in the scene for a while, you know, you find your way around. Obviously, Swiper over in Golden Guardians in the coaching role. Incredible player, story player, been here back since the OPL. I remember my first LAN event that I attended for League was actually Melbourne Esports Open, and Swiper was on the stage.
Really?
And that was many moons ago. And here we are, and he's still on the stage.
Yeah, he's come full circle. He gets back on it as well. I mean, it's a bit of a full circle story with a lot of these players, because Ryoma, we saw him go over to NA, full circle. He's back here, and he pumped out some fantastic numbers throughout the regular split. His stats were off the chart, and I don't want to say breakthrough, that's ridiculous, because he's obviously quite a notable player already, but just the way that he returned back into the scene, I think, was very seamless.
Yeah, I think that looking at Roma, like he definitely had like a slower start to the split, but like he's ramped up astronomically. I think he's like performing on pretty much all his like staple champions. Like when I think of Roma, I'm always thinking about his like control mages, but also his LeBlanc and Akali. He's very known for these champions in the past, and they're both receiving buffs on this patch. So when I look at this player, I think if he's unleashed, like he has the power to carry any game.
So even if the Azir nerfs aren't fake, they are real. There is the LeBlanc. There's going to be more coming out from him. I remember there was a couple times we spoke to him in an interview, why not? And I was like, do you kind of ever get bored of the Azir? Are you kind of hoping for something more?
If you're here to win, you know, you're here to win, and if Azir's going to make you win, you're going to lock the Azir.
That's true. You're never going to get tired of winning it, even though you might get tired of playing a very specific champion. But Ground Zero, they had a wide champion pool, especially in their bot lane on Lemus. I mean, he loved calling himself Lee Smolder. That was something that we got out of him as well. But Tien, Schoenfire, Kisse, Lemus, Ben V, the 5 players there representing Ground Zero. I don't know what more to say on this roster, because if you haven't been paying attention all split, what exactly do you need to know about them? Why not?
I mean, I'm looking at the team now, right? And I'm just thinking, how do you draft against these guys? They have so many angles. They can go from more of a lane dominant style in the bot lane like they have tended towards. You know, the Ashe, the Varus, very comfortable champions in Lima's and Binvi's hands. You know, Kisse, honestly, that guy's champion pool is wild. You can see it in solo queue. You know, he'll play any role and he'll beat your laner no matter where he is. Schoenfire, obviously, one of the most storied players of all time, facing off against Swiper as well. Really, like, when I think of GZ, I think of anything can happen.
That's true. The last time they played up, I know I keep referencing it, it's kind of one of the biggest reference materials that we have right now, but it was a game 3 where Antic were steamrolling them, and then all of a sudden it was just one team fight, and they were able to come back and just seal the game, steal the series for them. But you highlighted before, Tally, how Ground Zero really dominant in lane. They're always fantastic. They're always up at that 10-15 minute mark, but why isn't it transitioning into a clean win, especially over Antic?
I think the GZ tend to draft like these very like lane heavy, not really like team comp meshy like comps. So the playstyles don't really like work as well if they don't get the leads in the early game. That's why you see like a lot of the range supports that Benvi played can be punished out of lane. And this is also something that he will probably like have to think about with we see lane swap meta coming back in, and this is not a position you want to be put in as a range support. And I think that like GZ just really need to like lock down on their like style, their comfort, and like be able to transition these gold leads that they're able to generate through like their laning prowess.
Something else that was very predominant throughout the series, or even just the regular season if you wanted to, was the difference in their junglers. Exactly what we were expecting from them. Obviously, Swiper having to slot into that role for himself, whereas Schoenfire, he's been a jungler through and through for many years, but there were some great Baron steals between them. We always joked about maybe Swiper had some of the slower fingers on the server there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk to the stats that's on your screen right now, and I think it demonstrates the point, you know, very well. You can look at KP, right? Pretty much dead even. They're both junglers that are active, they're involved, but you look down to the most picked, and There you go, Schönfire. You got a brand, more of a carry-oriented champion. Schönfire, when I think of him, you know, he has that carry potential. Where Swiper, a bit newer to the role, maybe filling the gap in his team as more of a supportive style. You know, playing more champions that will, you know, fundamentally enhance his team. Generally speaking, we'll get much more assists and kills and this kind of stuff. But I think what both junglers do incredibly well is find that place within their team and play towards it. They fill that role well, and at the end of the day, as a jungler, all you care about is supporting your team and ensuring your spot is what's going to impact the most.
We're looking at the comparison between the champions that they did play throughout the season. The overlap, and what sticks out for me is the Rel and the Poppy, mostly because Swiper became very, I don't want to say dependent on those two champions towards the end of the playoffs, but that's what it felt like. It felt they needed one or the other to have a very clean and cohesive game and to know exactly what their game plan was.
Exactly. I mean, I think one thing that Swiper does bring is that veteran experience, right? Being able to pull the trigger, know when to engage, and no matter if he's on top or jungle, a champion like Rel can do that. But here we are with these patch changes. Rel has been a bit shafted in the jungle. Champion has not the best, you know, numbers for that.
Not even on the table to be picked.
It really shouldn't be, and if it is, I can't see it working out.
That is very unfortunate. Let's take a step back, have a broader look then of how this patch, or even the multiple patches that have occurred since we last were here for the LCO, has changed the game style, the gameplay. If we are going to have very predictable gameplay styles from these two.
Yeah, I think like one of the major things is the like Infinity Edge buffs we saw a long time ago. I think that's the major thing. We're kind of like stepping away from like the double range bot laners and seeing a lot more of those like hyper carries and Jinx and Zeri, like Tristana, like these kind of champions that are a lot more comfortable in these like slow like lane games. So I think that it's important that they've adapted well over this time that they've had this long, like pretty much 2-month break from the last LCO game, and you know, we'll see what they want to play.
For sure. I think it's to follow up from that point as well. We have a Scion buff. And if you look over in the LEC, they had some shenanigans going on with lane swaps. And I'm pretty sure Tully was playing back then when lane swaps were last prevalent, so he'll be the man to talk to about
so a
that.
decade ago.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, we don't want to talk about my dark past. It's been a very long time.
A bit of time there. All right, well, we've talked about then exactly how this patch might be affecting what we see in drafts picked up or even dropped to the wayside and not even looked at again, looking at you, Rel. And also this lane swapping. Can you mind control the other team into trying to anticipate what you're doing? But ultimately, does the draft change at all? Is side select going to be an important factor here? Why not?
I mean, blue side, I think, for ground zero, right? They must have a one pick that they're looking for. And I think there are many strong champions on this patch. And honestly, I think there are many options that they can look for. And I think that's going to holistically shape the draft, and especially in the games going forward. Are they going to prioritize more of a Jinx style? Are they going to try to secure a jungler that's contested, something like a Volibear, which has experienced a lot of nerfs? However, I think both of these junglers still might be on that trail.
I want everyone to know, by the way, why not did not actually know what Ground Zero had picked before it came up on screen? You were just like, they should be picking blue side. If they're not, they're griefing.
I mean, I'm looking at these players, and I'm looking at their draft, and I think if you have that choice, I think blue side is an excellent selection for game one. Doesn't show too much information, and if they come off with a win, it's going to be a hard choice for Antic to maybe swap the sides up early.
Yeah, if you don't know, Ground Zero did get the choice of side because they come in as the higher seed. They qualified to PCS through that upper bracket, whereas Antic is still in that lower bracket. So it all depends on who wins and loses as to who will be picking side on the future games in which we will see in this grand final best of 5. But as always, what we've done for you day in, day out is make sure that you have your say on exactly who you think is going to be taking this game #1. So right now, if you are in Twitch chat, put your vote in. Make sure you put all those points on the line and let us know, is it going to be Ground Zero getting that advantage with side select, or Antic? They already know. They know they're going to go for blue side, and so they've got those counter picks in the back pocket, Tally.
Yeah, I think that with like what they want to do with the side selection, I think that they're gonna look. Well, honestly, I just think it's gonna be like a lane swap game. I think that what we've been seeing overseas, and the way that Antic has really struggled in the bot lane, I feel like they're gonna want to prioritize lane swapping. I think that Zonis has also had Yen's number in top lane, so I feel like it's going to be like an early pick hyper carry into like looking for like anything that's really good in the lane swap. I think that they're going to look to completely flip the game on its head. 'Cause that's what you want to do in a game one. You want to get the easiest win without sharing as much information as possible.
Yeah. Well, you both have given us pros, cons. Do you guys in Twitch chat want to go for ground zero? Do you want to go for Antic? Can we get a little bit of a vibe of the crowd? Are we ground zero? What about Antic? Anyone for Antic?
Okay.
We'll look at Antic in-house here.
Yeah, I feel like I don't need to ask again. People definitely want to be seeing at least a game win for Antic, whether it's going to be this one or if it's going to be another one. But what about you guys on the couch? Where exactly do you sit? Do you want to bring out your predictions?
I'm looking at a 3-1 for ground zero, I believe. I'm pretty sure that Antic will get at least one game. But I think overall...
You don't say that confidently. You got a lot of Antic fans in the audience, okay? You don't want to get on their bad side.
Yeah, I'm leaving through the back entrances for sure. But yeah, I think that over the long haul, I think ground zero have the advantage. I think they've shown strong preparation in the past, and I'm confident that they'll take it through.
All right, so the three of us have gone for ground zero here. Different score lines. I went for the 3-0. Please don't look at me. The 3-1, the 3-2. I'm not sure if we're going to have Skimmy and Max's and Pike's predictions as well, but I do believe at least one of those three was a big Antic supporter.
It would have to be. He's always the contrarian. It would have to be Skimmy.
You reckon?
He hates winning his predictions.
He just hates winning. He hates being right. That's the best thing about Skimming. I would say at least.
Yep.
Do you want to back up why exactly you think ground zero or at least a 5-game? Is it a wish or like knowledge? No, it's going to go 5 games.
I think it's more of like they got to pick blue side first, and they get 3 games on blue. I think that blue is it's kind of it's an OP side.
You think it's that extreme?
Yeah, I think so. I think that like counter picks are a bit fake in this meta. I think that like getting your priority first pick is like really easy to base your draft around, and having 3 games on blue side versus 2 is just...
Antic definitely like to utilize that counter pick for Zoranus' spicy picks, right? He looks for things like Urgot or these Twisted Fates or these range top lanes. But like you mentioned earlier, if they do flip the game on its head and they do lane swap, then it's not that useful playing a carry top lane when you're in a 1v2.
I'm excited to see if they've taken any of the knowledge from overseas, but most importantly, I'm excited to get into our very first game of our best of 5 for our LCO Split 1 Grand Finals. Let's head on to our casters, Skimmy and Max.
That's right, thank you very much to our wonderful analyst desk there, as Max will be getting himself into yet another DreamHack final. It's the best time of the year. It's what these players work so tirelessly for down under. And mate, it's your first final here as well. How's that feel?
It's nerve-wracking. It's very exciting. It's been a while since we've seen any League of Legends really here in this region, but to see these teams come back out and fight for the championship in front of this crowd will be incredible.
Bigger stage, bigger venue, bigger audience. It's not a bad place to be right now, and I can't wait to see what these teams have in store for us, because they've only met twice across the entire year. There's not really much started to go off, but they've always been really, really close affairs.
I mean, that last game that we saw them play together was perhaps the game of the split in my eyes, right? 50-something minutes, ended with multiple elders, multiple barons, ultimately a fight that sealed the deal going in favor of ground zero. But like I said before, it's been so long these teams have gone over, competed in the PCS, and now for the first time, we're going to see them back here on familiar territory.
That is the one, and for some of these players, they've been here in this position before, right? You can talk about the likes of Bendy on a different roster, or Bliss, who they actually eliminated on their way towards this stage. So for them, a bit of a redemption story, as we've talked about. For other players, a chance to showcase that, hey, I've won 4 domestic titles before. I want to make it magic number 5. I want to really etch my name in history as one of the all-time greats.
I mean, all-time greats, you say that, and we've got so many of them up on stage here, right? I think that has been the narrative for both of these teams, right? Obviously, ground zero, young talent, supplemented by Schönfire at the helm, and then Antic. I can't even count the number of titles that they have across all of their members here, so surely looking to get back to those winning ways here today.
We certainly are. We're really hoping for that one. And as you already alluded to, right, it was a 50-minute banger in their last game. Big stomps either way, but to close out the only best of 3 that went to all 3 games, certainly really put us in a good stead to expect a big best of 5 to close out the series. Well, let's jump into champs, select them. Grand Zero on the blue side, going to look to try and remove some of these really strong, oppressive mid-lane control mages. Not to be too surprised, though, because Ryoma loves all 3.
I mean, those are 3 mid-lane bans taken off right away, right? All the S-tier picks and LeBlanc, certainly a respect ban being shown over to Ryoma. Now, the question is, what is the first pick now, right? You could pinch that mid-lane pool even more. With the Jinx removed, that certainly does kind of remove a bit of the potential for the lane swaps that the analyst desk were talking about. But there is a lot of flexibility. The Kalista being hovered before, Varus as well, both certainly S-tier AD carries in the right situations. And it's going to be the Nautilus pick for Benvy, one of his staples, and going to be able to provide that explosive playmaking that Ground Zero love.
I love it. I think it's a fantastic decision there because we know just how important it's been for the likes of both Benvy and Dragu to not only find some success, but to be proactive, to engage, to roam, to really respond to any kind of situation. So I love the initial pickup there. And obviously the narrative that we've gone for has been that these lane swaps should be so prominent, but there's certainly going to be some little teasing points as to, well, what do we play in response? Tristana, if the Jinx is banned, yeah, take this instead.
The kind of OG turret pushing champion, right? So good at just grinding down those waves, smashing down turrets. And if you were able to pair that with an enchanter, something like a Renata, or perhaps a Lulu, who are both available, both decent picks into the Nautilus, but it's going to be the Volibear. Now, this is a champion who's incredibly good in this meta, a really fantastic early game skirmisher. You're able to jump on that one target, blow them up, and for Swiper, getting his jungle pick secured so early is really going to be crucial.
It certainly is. Even if the Volibear receives those nerfs, just still ever so strong, so no surprise there that he's going to stick to the champion pool. That has worked ever so well for him. Granzo going to waste no time then to respond. Out comes the Jax, a flexible pick, do you think?
I love this. I think it will be going towards the jungle, right? It's a very nice 1v1 matchup against the Volibear. And to have Schönfire on a carry when realistically he has been the best player so far is a good sign that they're going for early in the series here. Now, to round out the first phase, I wouldn't be surprised if it is going to be the barriers that they take on the board. So much CC, so much playmaking around this bot lane. And when you look at Ground Zero, Lemus and Benvy really have been those key facilitators.
They certainly have, and I tell you what, Ground Zero have gone all in for the engage, for the strong team fight, but for Antic, especially with these first 3 picks, Max, they're saying, we are lane swapping, we're not making any small secret of it. How do you want to respond in these next 2 bans?
Well, this is going to be a game where Zoranus' KDA is getting absolutely tanked, right? If we've seen anything from the major regions like G2 love picking their Sion, say you're going to sit bot lane, die a million times, just try to clear the waves, while we get King really far ahead. And I think it really does fit with the identity of Antic, right? This whole season we've been characterizing them as a Ryoma and King-led team. If you can get gold onto these guys, they're going to do well with it, and that's exactly what they're going for here out the gate.
They certainly are. Even if the rail gets removed from the jungle, it's still going to be denied from the supportive position. Obviously, we know how well it can do into a Nautilus. Smashing through those shields and looking to try and reenact a fight of their own terms. But I love the Talia ban into Schönfire, knowing that the carry matchup's going to be such a rough one. But also the way, because we know that Kisei is not too afraid to use that one.
No, Kisei was absolutely fantastic on that pick, right? Really nice at kind of denying the push as well. Often has a lot of wave clear with that Q. With the Alistar ban as well, they're really trying to pigeonhole Dragu away from the engage. They don't want him on these champions who are able to start those skirmishes on a dime. And that raises the question as to whether he wants to go towards an enchanter, really buff up that Tristana and put everything in the king bag, but no, it's going to be Leona.
It's going to be Leona. It's a champion that we've not seen in quite a hot minute, to be quite frank with you, but it is a champion that really fits the bill. You think of Dragu, you say his strongest suit has always been to press on forward. He can play the enchanters. He absolutely loves the Yuumi, but he much prefers to go in like this.
And I think that's what you want in a game 1, right? You want to be on the front foot in that starting position. You want to be able to pull the trigger. And with the Leona, with the Volibear, there's so much skirmishing around this bot lane. Yes, Jax is going to get a lot of value. That being said, though, there has been an Aatrox pickup. Now, this is really interesting, right? Because when you conceptualize the lane swap meta, essentially the top laner or whoever's getting put in that bottom lane is not having a great go of things, right? They're having to bleed a lot of CS, and Aatrox, traditionally, you know, not a 100% carry champion, but definitely needs resources. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Ground Zero are able to navigate this, trying to get TN on the board, or else he'll fall into meaningless.
They certainly could. It's going to be RE to round out this composition to give them a little bit of mobility, a bit of picking potential to then complement the likes of a Varus Jax and even a Nautilus to some degree too. But how do Antic want to apply the brakes? How do they want to try and stop that?
Okay.
The momentum is snuffed by a Veigar.
Yeah, this is like the quintessential lane swap composition, right? You have very volatile jungle bot lane, and then you just pick a scaling mid. All that they're going to be wanting to do in the mid lane here from the side of Ryoma is just farm, right? You're going to be wanting to try to get Kisei under his turret so he can't roam, he can't make plays and facilitate the rest of the map. But this is going to be really interesting, right? Because Ground Zero very much have gone for a more traditional style of composition where they are focused on skirmishing. Antic, on the other hand, have a very clear lane swap plan.
That they certainly have, and I think it really paints the picture beautifully as to what characterizes these teams so well across the entire split 1. Ground Zero want the early game aggression, they want the standard, we can just simply outplay you. As for Antic, it's like, we're waiting for you to make that mistake, we'll catch the ball, we'll catch the throw, we'll play for the late game, and we'll scale into infinity. And scaling for me, Max, has to be the key term. You talk about Veigar, you talk about Tristana, levels, stacks, you name it, they'll have it.
Oh, heaps, right? And that's the thing with this lane swap is you're going to be able to get extra levels on towards your carries. Yes, your top laner is going to suffer, but do you really care if you've got a Tristana who's one-shotting people, a Veigar who just presses R and somebody's dead? No, you really don't at the end of the day. Now, The question to me is how they're going to navigate the early levels, right? There's a very strong level 1 for either side, really. I would kind of favor the Varus, Nautilus, Jax side of things. The Jax E getting so much value in those early skirmishes, but that's really going to dictate where we're going to see this level 1 come into play.
I'm really excited, actually, if we do get a level 1, because I feel like it always comes to the grand finals, especially in a live arena like such, where you say, okay, let's test the nerves. There are certainly some very nervous players on the stage right now. They played this game countless times, thousands of hours, but in front of a packed-out audience, they're thinking, hang on a minute, what happens if we all throw it away at the very first minute? Max, which comp do you prefer?
Honestly, I'm going to go with Antic's comp here. I think that this lane swap is something we've seen work so well in other regions, and if Ground Zero don't have a good response for it, they really could just get run over.
Well, let's waste no further time, DreamHack. Let's jump into game number 1.
Absolutely, Zoran is here, you can see. They've gone for the spellbook strategy, wanting to make sure that he has all those defensive tools in his kit. Swiper, you can see here getting forced out early on this 3v3 from Ground Zero. Like I mentioned before, so strong level 1. And they're going to take control of this bot side. Meanwhile, you can see Antic, they're firmly set up in the top side of the map.
They certainly are. And how many times have we seen Swiper with a roaming party go to invade an enemy blue buff, take that for their own, and start on the strong foot? How many times have we actually talked about the differences between Schönfire and Swiper? This is an off-role player battling with the best.
It's off-role, but in a game like this, are there really any roles, right? They're so non-traditional that it does become a game more of a 5v5 as opposed to a top versus top, jungle versus jungle. So to me, this is a game of ingenuity, and when you talk about all the experience that Antic has, they're definitely going to benefit from that.
They certainly will be. Nothing to come with the level 1, though. Ground Zero tried, and try as they might, they will be turned away from that eventuality, but the lane swaps have already come out to play, and it is going to force Ground Zero to respond in their best fashion.
Yeah, this is really smart here. You absolutely have to match. I don't think you want TN on an island by himself against the bot lane of King and Dragu. But take a look at the different approach here. You can see King's actually teleported down towards the bot lane, realized that they were matching the lane swap, and is instead going to head right back to where he should have been.
Yeah, instantly utilizing that fact that there is no combat summon. He just wants the macro pressure. If you're going to go for the 1v1, well, TN, your TP is now rendered, seemingly used. There's a lot of trading potential on the mid lane, as both Raimo and Kisei get themselves dropped to 50%, waiting for the initial moment.
And look at Zoranus. He has been leashing Swiper every single one of his camps, right? He's just been following him around the jungle. You can see now will make his way towards this bot lane. This is one of those strategies you do kind of see with this lane swap, is the top laner kind of just acts as a surrogate jungler, doesn't want any farm for himself. Instead, trying to make the game easier for his teammate.
But doesn't Zoran just feel like the classic Zoranus play, right? You date your mind back to when he played Smite Janna top lane, and he said, I don't care, I'm just going to roam, I'm going to buff up my teammates. I'm not the focus, I am a Sion, I am going to be underleveled, I am going to have no farm. As long as our engage is strong, our carries win.
It's interesting to me that he doesn't opt for a TP or something here. He is losing a lot of CS on the top side of the map.
Level 1.
Yeah, you can see King and Dracu are basing now, going to head back up towards the top lane. It really feels like Antic are doing everything in their power to avoid having to lane 2v2 first Lemus and Bemby.
Complete funnel of those resources as, yeah, yet again, King having burnt the TP from top to bot, resets, respawns, and goes to top lane again. Really making sure that Tien, who's found himself in some pretty hot form, that was 2 months ago, but loves to play the carry and making sure that he cannot do that.
And that's the question, like, form is a very valid point, because how are these players feeling, right? The last showing that they had in PCS, obviously not the greatest, right? Not wanting to have a repeat of that. Domestic, obviously a very different competition. You can see TN now going to be forced to base. This is the really annoying part for the Aatrox, and this is why I kind of highlighted in the draft that it would be so key to try to secure him a lead, because Zoran is here, he doesn't care. Even if he dies here, he's going to be able to live. As here we go.
And looking for that initial dive, goes the seismic shot, Dragon back in, Ignite goes out, and he gets popped. Benby dropped low, but not low enough to make it a 1-for-1. Zoran is in that zombie form. Will take what he can find. Draku flashing in, rocket jump on his head, stun and take him down. But Tien in a 1v3, backed up by Schön, takes out Swiper. King leaks to safety. There is no safety to be found.
It's all Ground Zero to start off this game. The bot lane dive goes in their favor, and then they have the perfect response on the opposite side of the map. Schön, they're getting a fantastic flash counter-strike, and Kisei's there to clean up the stragglers.
Best possible start there for Ground Zero. You know, they've gone for the more traditional composition. Antic have taken the gamble here. It's not working out as clean as they would have hoped for, and Ground Zero must be feeling very good about their chances. 4 minutes in, 4 kills, and a 2K gold lead.
I mean, absolutely, it's the perfect start, right? You talked about the scaling perhaps going in favor of Antic, because potential drag here is going to be a little bit of a pullback and a little bit of a chunk there onto Ryoma. But really shout out to Shern there for being in the right position, right? You could see TN knew the dive was coming in, knew he needed some support. As here we go once again, we can see how it starts. Shernfire's already in the play, so by the time they commit onto TN, it allows this Jax time to land a massive counter-strike on towards the side of Antic, and you can see King trying to jump out, but there's an Ari right there.
Fantastic read there from Kisser, as much as it is for Shernfire too to read that play. Dragu has no flash. He just burnt it before. He's a sitting duck. He's not sitting pretty. In leaps Shern, looking for a second. The rain of arrows is not lethal. And Swiper is here to save the day.
Very dicey there for Antic. You can see why they don't want to play this lane 2v2, especially when you don't have a flash on your Leona. Yes, you're tanky, but ultimately, that lack of mobility can really be punished by the likes of a Nautilus.
That's a bit of frustration, right? You've got King with the ability to get all this attack speed. He's unable to find that killer. He's after, but Kisei's hunting for one. Fantastic flash. Really reading it as Roma gets out to safety.
Talk about stage nerves. I don't think Kisei has a single one of those right now. Just goes in, burns the flash, charm lands.
Second time in trouble, and there he goes. Kisei 2-0, and the best possible start.
The saying second time's a charm is absolutely true there. Solo kill onto Ryoma here. 2-0 already on this Ari here. Not the most potent pick in the late game, but who needs a late game when you've gotten off to a start like this?
Exactly right. I mean, we're talking about Varus obviously being so strong despite all the changes that have happened ever since we last played here. But if he gets to be a lane bully, that's exactly what he does. Now, Antic, out of sight, out of mind, are going to look to try and pick up as many of these Void Grubs.
I mean, they have been buffed, right? They are a more contested objective at the moment. They've got 4 members in the area, but so are Ground Zero. They're bringing people up here. They want to contest this.
And jumping in, counter-strike, charm, Swiper's in trouble right now, looking for smite, looking for some HP to come back, but the orb from max range takes him down. That's 2 for Zip so far. As he jumps again, but the response from Ryoma is good. He's still got the ultimate. Kisei 4-0, still alive, full HP, and walking to safety.
Ground Zero are getting away with murder here. Lemus is hitting bot lane this entire time, but simply their mechanics are just better. TN's 1v2ing, kills King even through the flash, and then in the pit, Shernfire and Kisei able to put in work. Everything is going in favor of Ground Zero now.
I think we can start to understand why the crowd, as well as yourself, are the fan favorites here. That Ground Zero should be the ones to take this title. Bendy across the wall, Hex Flash! He's just missed the hook. And Ryoma is very grateful.
He absolutely is very grateful. Could have been going down for a second time there, but it will just go wide. You can see TN feeling pretty happy after that fight. He actually managed to kill King, kind of flashing into that Q2 there. But 8-2, 6-kill lead in about 4,000 the goal difference. At only 7 minutes in the game, just goes to show how volatile this lane swap strategy can be, for better or worse.
But it certainly can be. Obviously, a massive amount of discussion as to just how strong it was on this patch to be seen globally, but to try and adopt it here in the Oceanic region is sometimes easier said than done. Can they get themselves a sneaky little kill? They're looking for Kisei. He's got the ultimate. Does he have the mana to use it? He just says, you can't kill me. Stop wasting your time.
It's a level 4 Tristana jumping on a level 8 Aria. That's very optimistic at best there. Kisei just going to walk out, not feeling threatened whatsoever now. And with 6 stacks on this Darksteel, he is certainly a force to be reckoned with. We can see down towards the bot lane as well. There is a little bit of convergence happening here. Dragu going to go in.
They're played to start things off with. Instant regret though, because Benby flanks from the side, looks towards King, who, as you say, is so severely under-leveled. Dragu then forced to try and take as much as he can, but he goes back in with Swiper's here. Flash taps, ult on their head, takes some heads and gets some kills. But he also falls victim to the pressure and the wombo combo. Out goes the cage, locked inside the octagon. They'll get themselves a silver lining with a kill there on to the north. In jumps Shern, he wants to 1v3, but he dies amongst the Lemus, turns around, and now he tries to go for that, the 1v3, but they trade! But it will be a triple.
It's a triple kill for Lemus. Loses his life in the process, but absolutely smiling if you are a Ground Zero fan right now. Antic actually managed to bring numbers down towards that play, right? They had a bit of a pincer. You can see King only really 1v1 versus Benby here to start this play. Not much threat on towards this Tristana. And that leaves the rest of Ground Zero in a bit of an awkward predicament, right? You can see Swiper coming down here. Ryoma on the Vega also trailing. But disengage is just too soon. This Volibear isn't anywhere near tanky enough, gets blown up. And it looks like Antic are going to be able to clean up here. But yes, Benby goes down. Shernfire and Lemus, though, still have heaps in the tank.
That they certainly do. He sniffed out an opportunity, took it and jumped right back in and said, I'll die for a greater cause, because as long as this Varus gets fed, we will just win the game.
I mean, and if that E lands as well, you have to imagine he lives through that play, right? It was so close to him getting the triple kill as TN.
He's up here, top lane. Zorinus is dead, the hook connects, Bemby's on. Can they find much more than that though, because Zorinus in the zombie form is there to deter. So severely underleveled, so far behind in gold, and once again, how is this Varus just getting away with all this?
It's just all around the board. Ground Zero are the ones finding these picks. Antic always on the back foot, it feels like. Once again, Swiper caught.
Swiper's in trouble, he's gone. In jumps one, instant regret again. King is dead for a double, shown by the carry. Is certainly getting it done right now, and from top to bottom, 15-5.
I mean, turn it off, Skimmy. This is absolutely disastrous if you are Antic here. Kisei almost looking like he wants to go for another solo kill under Ioma's turret. So you can see, like you mentioned, Lemus has just been bot lane this whole time. Finally, the TP will come through to answer it, but this is a 47 CS Sion. He's not contributing anything. TN will be looked at here.
Soliflare goes in, but King's not got an ultimate of his own right now, but he doesn't even need it. That's a much-needed shutdown to tick over to get some gold and to give the Antic fans something to cheer about.
That's absolutely massive, right? I mean, they absolutely needed that. You can see King TPing back in with the Kraken Slay completed. Now going to get an injection of gold. As Kisei's died somehow off screen, I think it was a solo kill.
Yeah, looked to me as if Rome has managed to pick up that kill, which is also very much warranted too. So, two massive shutdowns in a very short amount of time, which is going to really look to try and even up this game. Let's run it back with a replay and see what happened here.
Yes, you can see Kisei, relatively decent HP, just goes in, misses the charm. He's stuck in the cage, dashes in. I know he'll be feeling bad about that one. Tanks the Q as well, the thumbs up mode, not feeling too good. And like you said, even though the goal difference is big, those are huge equalizing kills.
I mean, it's not only just the kills, it's the CS, it's also the tower plates, right? So many of those tower plates have been taken away on the side here for Ground Zero to give them such a commanding spot to also open up even more avenues for of these plays to come into fruition here as the flash goes out! I tell you what, Ryoma is really feeling the burden of being this mid laner.
It's beautiful from Benby though. You're absolutely happy taking that trade any day of the week. Right now it's a flashless Veigar versus an Ahri. He can just come back, and I mean the first time he went there, hook didn't necessarily land. Now Zorinus might be the one in danger. Chains of Corruption do miss, but Ground Zero are in the area.
Are they going to look still hard forced to play? Well, Bemby's already revealed himself. It wouldn't really feel like a play that you'd need, because as you already mentioned, even during the draft, this is going to be a sign that's going to be 0-8, but it's still going to have some impact.
And that's the thing, you don't really care if you kill him, right? What do you get? You're still going to get the wave, you're still going to get the XP. Meanwhile, Tian's going to be able to do neither of those things. He's just going to really have to stand and watch as his turret is taken. Lemus might even just solo kill Zorinus.
Certainly well, underneath the turret, not a care in the world. He is a solo lane Varus at this point in time. But I tell you what, Max, the next 90 seconds are crucial because those tower plates will go on down, and Antic are looking to try and get as much of that gold back.
And you can see Ground Zero are very conscious of that fact, right? They've rotated their members down towards the bot lane, wanting to defend against any potential dive on towards the end. He's a squishy Aatrox, but if you can buy enough time for him to heal through that World Ender, he actually is surprisingly tanky. So Antic instead can acknowledge they're not going to be able to get those plates anymore. Instead, can take the first dragon of this game.
Already coming in at 13 minutes, it's been a game where we've been so focused on the meticulous nature of lane swapping and outplaying and the mental games of summoner checks that we've really forgotten that a Dragon Point, a Baron, stacking up those objectives could certainly come into fruition at the very same time as well. But a minute left on the clock now, and they're going to try and cycle into mid. And so you both flashed before. This time you're a sitting duck. This time the hook will land, and it'll be guaranteed by the knockup. As Kisei claims kill number 5.
There we go, Benby. Using the depth charge to ensure that hook is going to connect. It's just going to be another dead Veigar. Basically nothing he can do if he doesn't have flash in this situation. And check once again in with top lane, and Zorinus is getting bullied here. Actually down 2 levels now as Schönfire.
Jumps in there, looks for the counter strike, but a nice little buffer to get himself out of harm's way, but he's actually juked into the Nautilus hook underneath the tower. It's not enough! But the burn comes on through, and now King is kiting for his life. But the power of a Jack is just too much to bear. Double kill for him. A TP in to try and back it up. As Rome is here, he's rocked up twice and said, we're going on in, but he's just too squishy, the ult, to buy some time. But Schönfire is just dominating.
He is an absolute menace. 15 out of the 17 kills he has been involved in. This Jack's looking like a real problem here. And really, Swiper on this Volibear not able to find much success there. Goes in, gets blown up instantly. Yes, Ryoma gets the kill, but that's now the 5th death for this Volibear. Antic having to expend these TPs just to defend their turrets as they're now staring down the barrel of a 6,000 gold lead.
It's a pretty big one. It is a major divide, but we have talked at length of the early game versus late game conversation, whether this will be another one of those ones we see yet again a gank in the bot.
Yeah, so it's really nice play by Benvi here. He acknowledges that he doesn't want to walk into turret range too early because he will just get CC'd and blows up. I mean, he does end up going down eventually, but it is traded back for that second kill that Schönfire picks up. Now, the CP is interesting here. You can see with Kisei coming in, they might just want to turn onto Ryoma, but they see Swiper instead, think he's a more appealing target, and just blow up that volley there.
They certainly do, and it really does feel like Ground Zero have got full control of this game. Do as they please, a full roaming squad of 3 members at any given moment. They've got the item spikes as well, so they're strong on multiple different fronts.
I mean, this Varus is just ridiculously fed, right? Rageblade and Bork right now. If he already wasn't a problem, as Limus instant cleanse.
Captain Jack with the cleanse there, not a single beat of movement missed. As he does not want to sacrifice that bounty anytime soon, but as you say, 15 minutes, 2 items, crime.
I mean, for a game 1 of a LAN finals to be able to have the reaction time to just perfectly QSS that speaks to his confidence in this series. As now Kisei might get looked upon here. He does have the ultimate if he wants to get out. Might have to pop it pretty soon. Draku will just stare at him, force him away from this turret. Antic can just try to get anything they can on the bottom side of the map. You can see mid and top is all Ground Zero.
What is a fantastic bit of momentum going in the way of Ground Zero right now. Not only are they taking yet another turret in the mid lane, completely exposing it. Schönfire has now just picked up the Void Herald. Take a look to try and break open the base, but first they'll turn their attention onto Zoranich, who charges in, hits the chickens, and now instantly regrets that decision. The knock-up onto 2, deterring any further aggression here from Antic, but now they're trying to run away. Benvi the straggler, force the flash, break the vision light. Schönfire jumps in with the 2-man counter strike, and the rocket jump fails! So King is dead! Tien jumps on his head, the Aatrox means business, and it's a 1-for-1 so far as Roma at least answers back. But just the sheer wealth and power, they can't fight it. Roma's in the front lines, he's got no mana! And Ground Zero are just simply too good.
The rocket jump fails, and you have to feel like Antic hopes are as well right now. That skirmish going overwhelmingly in the favor of Ground Zero. Schönfire on the Jax once again being the person to turn it all around, jumping right on top of King, and frankly, this Tristana has not been able to play this game.
It's been a very rough affair for them. It all starts off with them looking to try and siege open this tower, but as soon as Zoranich goes in, you're thinking this is looking a little bit dicey.
He goes very far for a Sion who is level 9, right? He's incredibly squishy, I think perhaps overestimating his own tankiness, and he goes down straight away before the play even starts. They get a little bit of a chase onto Benvi, but look at Schönfire here, right? Using the E, immuning all the damage, all the CC coming through from the Leona. Only that Q is able to be landed after his Tristana is already dead. And once Tien is in here, he's going to be able to clean up. Limus on the backside, completely unthreatened by this Veigar, who does have to expend the flash to get involved, and ultimately doesn't even find the kill.
And for me at this point, Max, it just feels like there's too many damage threats on the side of Ground Zero. If it's not going to be this incredibly fed Varus, it has to be the Aatrox instead. If it's not that, then you've got an incredibly strong carry tank jungler in Jax for Schönfire too. And if it all boils down to it, you then still got to take into consideration is Benvi on Nautilus, his favorite champion, and he's finding infinite value. And
that's a problem, right? You look at Antic's comp, they want to play front to back, they want to have these tanky members in front. There are 2 key issues. Firstly, your tanky members are not tanks. Look at this Sion, look at this Volibear. Yeah. Those guys are paper thin to the likes of a Varus and a Jax at this stage. And also, your DPS is severely down in gold. You can see it's Terminus almost going to be completed here for Limus. Second item already done for Kisei. And with this Herald Summon bottom, they might be even looking to crack an inhib at 18 minutes.
That's what we're looking for. We're going to try and break open the game right now. As they set themselves up for this one, the hook to begin it off. Soliflare to try and deny them. No stun, but a slow is there. Draku jumps in, flashing out that one. The knock-up with the multiple members. As Ground Zero want more, they'll siege, they'll succeed, and they'll take you all down in a fell swoop.
A front to back, Antic can't even win that. You can see Ground Zero just brute forcing their way into the base. Zoran is here, going to be forced to retreat as well. And it's not only this bot lane inhibitor skimmy, but the mid lane turret as well, also getting looked at.
It's relentless. It is absolutely brutal. We were joking before this one, wouldn't it be funny if we just had a 3-0 and back-to-back 20-minute games. It's only 90 minutes in, they've taken really an inhibitor and a half. I mean, this base is in shatters.
And the question is, where do you begin to fight back, right? It seems like every time Antic have looked to make a defensive play, they've just been punished time and time again. The angles are really the thing that are in favor of Ground Zero. With how open the map is now, you've got such good flanking routes for someone like an Aatrox, like a Jax, to be able to get onto the carries. And when that stage of Tristana's having to deal with those, she's not able to DPS the real threats on Ground Zero. Hold on, here goes the R.
He's looking to leap away. That ward has saved his life for the meantime, but then Zominus flashes on his head, hits him with the slow, King across the wall. Already having burnt the rocket jump, flash to flash. We're looking for that kill. Turrets are being destroyed, kills are being hunted for. It's a 1v1, but meanwhile, on the opposite side of the screen, Kisei jumps out of the solar flare, takes him in a bit of a wild goose chase. 4v1. He can't run away that much as the burst comes through. And the shutdown goes away as Swiper. We're looking for more, but look inside the base. Lemus is literally playing a different game.
And Benvy might try to cancel the bases here. We have 2 gotten off so far. He's going to go down in response here. As Lemus is still in the base here. Teen and Schönfire unsure what they want to do here. They are relatively low. We know Schönfire is going back in. He's looking for something. Here goes Swiper.
Try to stand their ground. Swiper flashing out those chains. Look at the burst. Look at the Vega. Oh, it's just too easy. The stars of Antic, the scaling carries find exactly what they need.
Exactly what they need there. The fight going in their favor now. A lot of gold coming back onto the carries of Antic. That's exactly what they need. They split the fight. They're unsure whether they need to defend the base, whether they need to cancel those from coming through, and ultimately it results in a misnumbered fight. Swiper using the flash, really facilitating that turn to come through. And now you can see, yes, they're very far behind, but they're starting this Baron 20 minutes in.
10,000 gold down, multiple kills as well, nearly double at this point, but it's not going to stop them from looking to try and claw their way back into a late game scenario. Onto the Baron, an objective bounty to bear in mind as well. 40 down to 40%. What can Ground Zero do? There is no Schönfire, there is no potential for a Smite steal. It's going to be taken by Roma of all people, and Swiper may just be the sacrificial lamb. He'll be happy with that one, but Benvy instantly pouncing across the wall. Antic are going to run back, they've got to defend their base, they're going to find a double in the process. But this game is not going to be swung anytime soon.
Well, the question is now, what can Ground Zero do with this limited window here? It looked like they were potentially wanting to go for the end, but ultimately they will just settle for the 2 kills. That's huge for Antic, right? You don't care about your Scion or your Volibear going down at this stage. You take the Baron, not only for yourself, but also denying it. That really would have been the nail on the coffin if it had gone over. But hold on, Schönfire.
Inside the base, he's taunting him to see. We're looking for that magical number 3 when it comes to the inhibitor. Drake, who is just a sitting duck set in an amazing amount of CC. I mean, the CC duration there was just so brutal. But this really is going to be that final nail on the coffin now.
Absolutely, that 3rd inhibitor is going to go down. That's all Ground Zero really wanted out of that play. You can see them backing off now. With just how quickly Dragu melt, the question of who is frontlining really does become more apparent now. With those Nexus turrets really bare, with all 3 lanes of super minions pressing down on them, a single hook landing, a single chain, a single, REE even, is going to be able to seal the deal on the game.
What can a team like Antic conjure up? They've been, as you already mentioned at the start of the show, so many championships between them, nearly 20, I believe, all up combined. They've spent so many years overseas showcasing their skills, and deservedly so, but they've come back in a super team, you'd coin it to some degree. They've obviously made it here to the grand finals, but right now getting humbled by the new kids.
Absolutely are. You can see the itemization coming through. This is really going to be the head of the game with all these supers pushing in now. Ground Zero, they've taken the Dragon. They're going to be looking to push through the mid lane for the time being. Swiper's gone for the Knight's Vow, looking to really just buff up his carries. That's all he can do at this stage. This Volibear is going to be very much relegated to this supportive role. And now, how did Ground Zero close out this game? I mean, you feel very happy just putting Kisei in a side lane, letting him push. He has the Lich Bane as well, so definitely a really imminent turret threat as well if he gets any time with those. The question is, where do Antic make their last stand? It could be here. But look at Kisei's position.
They need some cheeky shenanigans, and a hook will deny Benvy of looking to close out this game anytime soon. A quick one could certainly look to try and bolster up that mental confidence. We've certainly seen how they've shown up here in game number 1. What can Antic do when push comes to shove? All 3 lanes crashing with supers. You've got to contend with the minions. You've got to contend with the champions. You've got to already consider what's your play for game 2.
I mean, the one saving grace is the waves aren't necessarily perfectly synced here. You can see the top and bot ones will crash at slightly different times. Mid lane a little bit out as well, so there's not that pressure of all the minions in there at once. That being said, though, Kisei's engaged upon.
Draku's found a moment, the cage goes down, Draku burns the ultimate, instantly flashing out to safety. Tien tanking up the world right now, but the near one-shot from Vega! It wasn't enough, it still is that 5v5, HP bars are fluctuating, but the fountain is right there. That's exactly where Kisei sends Zonas. But Roma answers back, making it a 1-for-1.
A 1-for-1 at this stage, though, you'd have to say you're very happy with his Antic. Hold on, Schönfire, Draku finds him.
Down 8k gold, but it is still Antic looking to try and push the tempo. King answers back as well. That's his second of the game. In jumps Tien, Kisei secures it. And the carries are gone for 40 seconds.
It's a 3v3. The charm actually landed through the rocket jump here. I wonder whether Kisei and the rest of Ground Zero are wanting to continue to push as Draku goes.
Time and time again, Draku continues to lead the line for his team. He doesn't really care how squishy he is as long as he gives his team a platform to succeed. Kisei, how has he survived?
This Veigar is a monstrosity now. 9-4, 282 CS. He really has been the benefactor. 1.2k APs. Hold on, Kisei.
Looking for it, he's running away, but Zonis cannot find him. Really taunting just how low they are. 8k is the difference. It was 10k before we slowed it down with the Baron denial. But there is no Elder.
And that's what's key. It's this slowing down of the game. It's only 25 minutes. Like you said, Elder's not going to be a thing essentially for the rest of this game, given there's only one dragon taking a piece right now. So the longer that Antic can stay in this, the longer that Ryoma can continue to scale. We already saw how much that Primordial Burst was able to do, essentially one-shotting CN from full HP. So they just need to buy more time. They just need to keep scaling. Yes, they're 6k down, but the longer this game goes on, the more that scaling comes into it.
When we talk about scaling, I want to talk about the tankiness to try and deny some of that burst that the Veigar has. I mean, just take a quick stock check of Limus's build, right? He's gone, obviously, for the very annoying Jack Show build where you just become ever so tanky. He's even got the Iron Flask Grave for even more HP. He just wants to stand and deliver and really do that as an on-hit Varus.
And I would definitely not be surprised if it's a wit's end to round out this build as well, right? Really acknowledging that the only way he dies is if Ryoma just flash Q ults him. He will be getting one shot regardless. Now we return to a familiar situation here for Ground Zero. Pressure mounting in all lanes. Antic with only one Nexus turret this time. They're moving around as a 5-man unit. They know that the opportunity to get picked off is so prevalent as Draku, he's going.
At the moment, he burns the ult, but it doesn't find any success. The Cheddar Crop chose the play that Romo's hunting for. Pants the bomb by 2. He's kiting for his life. The ult goes out. It does nothing to Schönfire and nothing for their chances of running this game back. Ground Zero say we had the gold lead from start to finish. Game 1 is ours. The nerves are settled. Let's go to game 2.
It took them a while. They had a commanding early game lead, and before this game, we wondered how the lane swap would look. And as of now, Ground Zero absolutely looking like the masters of that trade.
Well, it's to be understood why they are the favourites coming into this one. Such a commanding performance. You talk about, say, 2-month break between when they last went up against each other, and they look ever so polished.
They absolutely did. It feels like the exact opposite of what you'd expect from a game 1 on stage. You're expecting the nerves, you're expecting a slow-paced game. We got absolutely none of that from level 1. It was incredibly clear that these teams had a plan, and that plan was to get active.
But it certainly was. It worked well for them, and it worked well for us, actually, to kickstart this series, because it also settled our nerves. What a fantastic way to get ourselves settled in here at the Rod Laver Arena. Game 1 done and dusted. It's a full best of 5, and I'm sure there's plenty more twisted turns in this one. We'll jump to a quick break, and we'll see you back for game number 2.